So, Nika, I'm just going to throw this one out there. What's your favorite part about being a woman?
Honestly, the outfits. I like dressing up, skirts and colorful shirts, and I like the outfits. That's probably my superficial favorite part about being a woman.
I like the way you added superficial.
I did. I had to add that for you.
Dysh. Dysh. Dysh.
Hey y'all, it's Onika.
And JR.
And you are dishing with Dainty Dish. How you doing today, JR?
I am fantastic, Onika. How are you doing?
I'm doing swell.
Swell? Oh, you've become me.
I've turned into you. It's been hanging around you so much, you know. It was bound to happen.
Taking on my diction.
Your vocab.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, what are we doing today?
So it is All Kinds of Crazy Wednesday. We have a guest on the show. Everyone say hello to Monica. Hey, Monica, how you doing?
Very good.
Good. So we asked the question at the top of the hour. What's your favorite part about being a woman?
Well, I guess it's having the opportunity to be in society, because coming from the other perspective of dealing with the opposite of prior to life as it was before. Women have a little more work to do in society, but it's kind of feeling more getting respect, and I guess I can say that, yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I tell our listeners that you are a transgender woman?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I have had the surgery successfully, and it's been like 39 weeks.
Congratulations.
Since December 11th of 2018.
Congratulations. So what we're going to get into today is your story. I want to hear about your journey, Monica, because I've heard the story. I've heard a little bit about your story. Mm-hmm. We had that great conversation the other day.
Yes, we did.
And I want to just go back to that, and let's start off with the Wonder Years, we call them. You remember that show, The Wonder Years?
Yes, that was an awesome show. Fred Savage. Yep, yeah. I remember that.
I had a big crush on him. I loved him.
Oh, he was all right. Yeah.
He was okay.
But he was a little different and unique.
Different and unique. I like that.
But Winnie was kind of...
She was kind of stuck up.
Yeah, a little bit stuck up.
A little stuck up with that long brown hair.
And kind of shrugged her shoulders,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the Wonder Years, let's talk about that.
Well, it started back when I was younger, growing up, in my younger days, when I was, I'd say probably knee-high to a grasshopper. Mm-hmm. But life was normal, very, very normal, what you'd call normal. When you look up the word normal in the dictionary, no one can define normal. Normal's everyday life. Mm-hmm. And what we do is live our lives every day. Like we take a shower, we clean ourselves up, we do that every day. But when it comes to real life is what do you call real life? Real life is how you live. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, I would play like a normal, everyday person. But it was psychologically and mentally, I enjoyed it, but there was something wrong. Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, I did everything guys would do, but I still just didn't. It felt really empty. Mm-hmm. And when I was going through those years of puberty, it was hard. But living it and going through that, not knowing that there was something in my body that when I came out, I should have been the opposite of what I was. But as we get later into that about my mom raised me by herself.
Okay.
And as a single parent, and back in those days, and it was hard. Mm-hmm. But now, later on in life, when I think about it, my mom raised me as a boy, but psychologically, I can't really think about those years. But those years were good. They were fun times, but I felt I didn't really fit in the crowd, because when I was in the crowd, I felt I couldn't express who I really was. So it was difficult. And getting along with other people was dealing with my own sexuality. But then later on in life, then getting into the latter years of them going from grade 7 and all those years of senior high. And of course, we all did stupid things, but we explored, and like taking sex education was really nice. And especially learning all about the ins and the outs, and sex education was one of those things that was taught in senior high, but when you went to high school, it was a totally different thing. And sex education to me was, to be as a guy, guys just it was like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And those were the days I just couldn't. Being what I was. I just didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed those days. But then when I found out later on in life that I had that gene, that other gene, that one of the genes was stronger. The X was stronger than the Y for the female, but it was difficult. And now, living the life that I'm living now, and then the high school years, I represented a high school, which I was in athletic. I did a competitive swimming for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I was always, as the saying goes, the first one in, the last one out. So what that meant, there was obviously something wrong. And being in the change room with a bunch of guys, I felt, I didn't feel, it just wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Never. And being around that, I could have been getting my butt kicked, but they didn't touch me. For some reason, I would have been outed, I would have been ostracized, I would have anything. But now that we have and at the time the GSAs in the schools, the Gay Straight Alliances, mm-hmm. And if everyone's familiar with the GSA, and if you know what I mean, and it's a hard thing to deal with, because the GSAs in the schools, and you also have the agencies out there. But if there's anything else you want to know, go roll. So it's been. It was hard to deal with it. But mentally, physically, I was struggling to find who I really was in those days. I didn't know who I was, but I was searching, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So when did you find yourself?
I found myself in my 20s when I came out to my mom and told her that I was transgendered. And I said, and she kind of said it was kind of all in my head, but that's it, or it was just I was perseverating on that thing, or dwelling on something that wasn't really there. It was difficult to tell somebody that you're transgendered, and then it's not easy, because they just say it comes out of the blue. Like if I'm transgendered and I know something's wrong, I know something's wrong. And what am I supposed to do? It's like stop or put the hand up, and just say, what do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. Mm. It's when you're transgendered, it's very scary because if they think you're gay, gay is different from being trans. It's a whole different aspect of life because when you're gay, it's like two guys, you have two guys, or lesbian, you have two women. But I wasn't classified as gay. I was just born in the wrong body, which I now it's great to be in the body, but there's a lot of physical changes.
How is it affecting your mental health?
My mental health, especially when I was diagnosed back from years ago, I had an assessment through one of my team people, and when I was diagnosed with super hyper anxiety, depression, and bipolar. And this was back at the time. Then the team of people that I did have at the present time wrote a letter back to me stating that because I had mood disorder, which was classified as bipolar. And being bipolar is I knew about the depression, but not the bipolar, because bipolar, being on the medications I was on, because being on Epival, which is a mood stabilizer, and trying to deal with your moods is when you fluctuate. Especially when I was younger with the ADHD, but then it wasn't ADHD, it was ADD, attention deficit disorder. So then later on in life, then it kind of came out as I was basically lashing out at people. And nobody could understand what was going on. Nobody had no clue what I was lashing out about. Because, life was just not treating me to the point of saying, why aren't you listening to me? I'm trying to get through to you. I'm visible, but listen to what I'm saying. It's a scary place to be. And when you're in that position, when you can't say anything, I wish I would have been diagnosed the way I was sooner, because if I would have known what I know now, boy, it would have been easier to deal with.
For sure. But
bipolar is not, especially when severe. Like, I'm not so severe as I was. Like, I'm only mild compared to what you would call normal bipolar. I've had no episodes, which has been good. But there are days where I especially know manic episodes, so that's, it does help sometimes. But the medications, it's like I'm so heavily medicated, sometimes it kind of does help a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in your 20s now, and you've come out to your mom.
Yeah.
What was your next step? What happened after that?
The next step was to get help and get the referral to the people we needed to get to, which in some cases was some of the agencies that are out there in the Greater Toronto that we all know that's very, very, they can help people, but we had to get resources to these people, and it's something that they were there to help, and all these agencies, and getting a referral to get the help. But if you got to step up and get help, because help is important. When you need help, if you can't, it's going to lead you. It's going to just buckle up inside of you, and you're going to just lose it. And you cork yourself up, and you lose it. And these people are there to get you to help you with your problems. To give you a chance to say, we'll help you. But if you don't reach out, you're not going to get the help. And I had to reach out to these people, and I had to do this on my own with a little help from my doctor. And when I talked to him, he just kind of, hey, I was on my own. But I'll never. This was years ago when I went to my old one.
Your old doctor.
My old doctor, yeah.
He just was kind of like, can't help you. Sorry.
He couldn't help me. No, he couldn't help me. No, and because he had no reference to, and he just says good luck. I mean, that's all he told me is good luck. Find one on your own. And where I am today is, I mean, I had to go through 5 rejections. And finally, years after that, and going back every 6 months for assessments with my team of people. And every time they tell me, come back in a year, come back in a year, come back in a year. And they felt I wasn't stable. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I had to prove them wrong.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but who was on your team? You don't have to give names, obviously, but who was on the team that was helping you?
There was a lot of people. There was psychologists, there was endocrinologists, there was my doctors and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. In order to get to these people, you had to reach out to these people, because if they can't, they're the only ones that can help you get there. If you don't have these people in that team, they can't help you. And it's a lot of work, because it's a lot of grunt work. And I mean, for yourself to get there, and the procedures, trust me, it's a lot of work. I mean, now it's getting easier because the wait times are getting shorter now, which mm-hmm. I think is great, because normally it used to take about 6 months to a year to get in. Now they're taking everybody sooner, because the wait list, because before they changed the name, and especially we're getting progress, and the agency that I'm dealing with, that helped me out immensely, and they really helped me out, especially my family and my mom, because they're standing beside me all the time and supporting me. And I've had help from these guys for a long time, it's a lifetime. It's once you have these people, it's forever.
That's amazing.
And they will help you, and as long as they will support you in your corner. They will be there for you, and they will do everything in their power to help you. But it takes one person to reach out, because I mean, I believe as a human being, and that we all have to cry out for help sometimes, because mm-hmm. if we don't ask for help, no one's going to help us. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe in acronyms. Like, I believe if you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like, no one's going to listen to you. You have to be willing to listen.
And you talked about the 5 rejections. What did that feel like and look like for you, those rejections? It was very painful, because at the time I thought I demanded things, and you can't do that. Mm-hmm. No, you're not allowed to do that, because they do things by procedure. Mm-hmm. And procedure is the way they do things. It takes like 3 months blood work, and then you got to do all the hoops you got to run through, and it's all about how they do things by the book. Mm-hmm. And you just can't walk in there and say, I want my HRT right now. And what is HRT?
Hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
And with the hormone replacement therapy, it's basically saying that once they get you on it, they have to do that process, but that takes a long time. But now there's shorter times where they can get them on it, but still, it's a long wait. It could be shorter, could be a week, could be 6 months. Who mm-hmm. knows? Depending what your state is. And also that when you start it, you're going to find that depending on what you're doing, if you're going M to F or F to M, either way. So it's kind of how you want to start the process. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing the process, you got to be prepared for what to expect. And I mean, the F to M, the female to male, is one of the biggest, is very, very heavy, because that one, when you do that one, that's like they have to do, it's like 7 tubes of blood when they do you. Mm-hmm. They want to check kidney function, liver function, your thyroid, your everything. Mm-hmm. So it's very intense.
What about M to F?
M to F is the same thing. Mm-hmm. They want to look at what is the X and the Y, and what the HRT levels are. Mm-hmm. So when this is more of male, if there's more of female, so they just want and see if you're on any medications that could complicate it. You got to be, especially with some of the medications that could interfere, especially with bipolar meds, mm-hmm. because people who are on bipolar meds, they have to really be careful, and because they do consider that, as opposed to, because it can alter moods, because mm-hmm. as bipolar's up and down,
yeah,
it's kind of a yo-yo.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, some days are good, some days are bad. So you don't know what's going to happen in your moods, because when you go through the down days, you're gonna go through a rough patch. And when you have that rough patch, you can't control that. There's no control. Mm-hmm. You have to learn to control yourself. But I've learned to control myself. But I do get upset, but I do get furious. But there are days where I just want to give up, but I don't. It's not easy. I wish I could be a little more sometimes, but it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. It's all about balance. Mm-hmm. Especially in life, especially when we have to deal with this. But once after those high school years, then I was married, of course.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Then I was married to a cis woman, yes, and that was my ex-wife. But I don't talk about her because,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because she made it very clear at the time that it was, But that's okay. But I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, I had to do what I had to do, because living a lie, I couldn't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And especially the years when I cross-dressed for 5 years. And I did that for 5 years. But that was just a lot of fun. But then later on in life, mm-hmm. It turns into reality. And then growing up with my mom, of course, living in the same house with 3 women in the household and being the only male, but that's another topic. But it was interesting, because experimenting, of course, when I was in my high school years, of course, we all did things as young boys. I did that, and I would go through my mom's clothes. Yes, I did. Okay. I did that. Yeah, and but of course my mom caught me one time, but that's okay. I got caught, but that's okay. But and then when it wasn't too bad, but then I wasn't. Then of course, other than that, putting the lock on her bedroom door, so I couldn't do that. So, but after then, later on in life, it just kind of kept going. I kept going as myself, but being in denial of who I was. But when I found out who I really was, that's when the inner demons kind of buckled in me. It was scary. But now that since I've been out, when I came out in my 20s to my mom, things got a little worse. Then I had to get off a little break from that. Then I had separation from her for a while, which where we didn't talk for a while, but that's okay. That happened, and then I didn't, we just kind of left messages on the computer, or we just talked over the phone. I couldn't say much, but then later on, when things started getting to the point where I couldn't handle living life, I just kind of had extreme nightmares. Very, I wouldn't call it PSD, but post-traumatic stress disorder, but something was causing in me that was, my body just wasn't right. And I don't even claim to have PSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I don't have, but some of those things that can trigger, like I try not to let people trigger me on my past, because I don't want to think about the past. I look at the future. But since I've had that surgery now, it's like a weight's off my shoulders. Because at the time when I started the HRT was 2013. Then now it's been 6 years since I've been on it. So it's been a lot of major changes.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yes, it's one of those things that changes your body so to the point where you're it does weird things to your body. For the first 6 months, I was on conjugated estrogen, which I was on for a while, but then they moved me to took that for 6 months to a year. But then then my doctor had to put me on something safer because there was a cancer-causing agent in it.
Okay.
Which the cancer-causing agent, because you can't do that, because it was like it just wasn't. It was unsafe. And they had to do that because they had to find something that wasn't going to cause that, because they then slowly weaned me off that and put me on other stuff to make it so my body wouldn't go into a rejection mode.
Okay. Then
after I had my surgeries, then everything, before I even had the surgeries, and it was difficult. But I mean, I had rebellious moments.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You've said the word rejection a few times, and I'm not sure. Do you mind clarifying a little bit?
Okay,
what
the rejection was basically the hormone.
Just what it means? Oh, okay.
Okay, rejection means with the hormone therapy, they wouldn't, in the assessments, because I was not stable.
Okay.
If I'm not stable, they won't put you on estrogen because when they wrote the letter back stating that I was unstable because of the mood disorder, which because of the Epivol. Epivol is a mood stabilizer, which it's because it's used by epileptic patients that have epilepsy. It slows down the brainwave.
Okay.
Which makes you kind of just like this.
Okay.
So you're on an even keel. But I wasn't on an even keel. I was all over the board. I didn't know what I was talking about. And when I got after I had to fight to the tooth and nail to tell these people I wanted this, and it's like I had to have somebody. They thought I need somebody to hold my hand, but I didn't. I knew.
Okay.
It's something I wish I would have had done years ago, but they wouldn't start it back then because they felt I wasn't ready.
Okay.
Because I couldn't handle it. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like yin yang yin yang yin yang all over the place. So I wish I could have been more having it done in my 20s, but no, they waited till I was like, I'm up there, so. But it was scary at first, but I mean, if it wasn't for the people that I have that helped me get there today, I wouldn't be alive, because I did have suicidal issues. And that's one thing I would also bring up too, and that's the other scary part of it, is suicide. Because suicide is a real thing. Till you've been there, it's scary. Because I actually had interviews with my people, and when I talked to them and we sat down and talked, and I told them that I would actually self-mutilate myself, that's when we took action. Because every time I'd go into an assessment, I would say, and every time they'd ask me the question, are you thinking about suicide? And I said no. And every time it would be no. And every time it would be no. Until finally, question broke. Mm-hmm. And when that question broke, that was like when they started. And I said I didn't want to be another statistic, because I was losing the battle very bad. And I did almost take my life a couple of years ago. In other ways, I would have overdosed on pills, but I didn't do it because I had all the symptoms of basically doing it, but I didn't. And unfortunately, I had a good friend tell me, if you ever succeed, if you ever succeed and survive, I will kick you in the butt with my big shoe. Yes. And believe me, if that's enough fear, then you will. Yeah. And because he said we never lost anybody in our group. And it's a scary place to be. Like, if there's anybody out there that has actually been there in a dark moment, it's like, I use this theory, and I believe this theory so much. And if somebody would follow this theory, it's like going through the tunnel. Remember the days when they used blasting to build the train tunnels? Mm-hmm. And it's like blowing out a tunnel and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was just seeing darkness, darkness, darkness. And I felt there was no hope. But once I started asking for that help, I got the help. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't ask for that help, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a lot of people. Like I got family that supported me. I've got a lot of friends, and I got a good organization that is behind me. And in the LGBTQ community, thank God for them. If it wasn't for them, and of course, I also facilitate a group with 519, which I do help transition support. Mm. Yeah, and I do that too. And I've also done stuff from my home, helping other people to encourage them to reach out. And I've also have my own page on Facebook, mm-hmm. which is LGBTQ Durham. Yeah. Yeah. And I help other people out there, and it's my own group. And if anybody wants questions or answers, like, I can get them out there. But I do my own thing on my own time. Mm-hmm. But in between, I've learned that especially with the anxieties, it's been very hard. Mm-hmm. And when you're out in the community, it's not easy. There's people out there that need help, especially the young people, especially these young people out there, 18 to 25. And I want to be some influence to some of these kids that need the help, because they're they're basically, and also I want to touch on something too, which was very indicated, and thank God it's been banned, is anti-conversion therapy, because that was a very big issue back then, years ago, and it was wrong.
Let's just say what that is for those that might not know.
Anti-conversion therapy is convincing people that they are who they are, and basically tell them it's wrong to be that way. And anti-conversion therapy is wrong because it's telling somebody that they have to be who they are. You are who you are. You can't change that. And if someone said you can't play with that ball, like you can't do this, you can't do that, it's anti-conversion therapy is not right. Well, they banned it. They banned it. I think it was one of the World Pride after last year, which was good, and I think that's awesome. And especially one of the MPs and everybody. I don't know if I can mention this name, Sherry DeNova.
That's okay.
She's an ordained minister here in Toronto, and she was one of the people that pushed it forward. And there's people like her, and if it wasn't for people like her, it's amazing. And I also have a lot of people that help. But I believe the community is very, very strong. And the LGBTQ community itself, we have to support it more, and especially when it comes to Pride every June, every year. I'm part of it, and we deal with a lot of issues in the community. But I would like to see that we can actually lobby together, and we can make it a better place for us. Because in the Durham region area, we have to deal with a lot of people that don't understand it, because there's kids out there that are crying for help, and I wish some of these kids, and they know where to go, and just to tell them they can go somewhere and talk to somebody, or talk to people who have experience, have been there. It's something we need to address to help these kids. And I believe as an activist, being in the community and knowing that I can do this, and coming out when I did, it's a great thing. But to talk to these kids and at their level, as the adults, I mean, it's a very, very good thing we have that, especially our allies, and we have parents and people who have been in a Trans Day of Remembrance and all that stuff. People who've gone before us and have died for the cause. And we do all sorts of stuff. But we have to remember we're here for a reason. And I want to be recognized in the community as helping these people. I don't want to be looked upon as saying, I want to be help to them. I just want to be able to reach out to these kids and let them know that they're not alone. Because when you're alone, like you feel alone, what are you supposed to do when you're alone? You gotta ask for help.
Absolutely. I just want to go back to the surgeries for a second.
Yeah,
you said
sure.
Surgeries.
Surgeries. The surgeries basically down below. There are the surgeries. There's two types of surgeries. There's full surgery and there's partial.
You don't have to go into it if you don't want to.
No, I won't go into it. No. But there's full and there's partial. But that's basically what I'm saying is that there's alternative surgery.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's all I can tell you there.
For sure.
For sure. But if you want, there's a lot of people that won't go for. A lot of people have been taking mostly alternative now, and some people go for full surgery, but depending on and in order to do that, you got to go through the W path. And the W path is the World Organization for the Transgenders, Transgender Society, and it's one of the. So I think there's one in the States and there's one in Canada. And the W path is just a letter stating, and it is covered by OHIP.
I was going to ask that, but okay.
It is covered by OHIP. Yes, it is. Yeah. Federal government. It's a provincial. Provincial, yeah. But you have to qualify.
Okay.
You have to qualify in order to get it. It's not what this. I mean, it's you. In order to get this, you do.
Okay.
It's very risky. Oh yeah, very risky. And it is a big procedure. Oh yeah, it takes probably 3 to 4 hours depending on what you get done. And it can be painful after that, but yes, but it is a relief when it's done. But in the healing time, it takes time.
Do you feel relieved?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel that? Like, yeah. I can tell.
It's a big relief from what being depressed to going from being depressed to being fully what you should have been.
Yourself,
yeah. It's very, very good because it makes you complete who you are, which I love because I would never trade it. No. I mean, bad enough like this. I think this year I got my 50th high school reunion coming up. So sometime I believe in November. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting because I know a lot of people, and it's kind of a few surprises.
Should be a good party.
I know, but these people I haven't seen. It's been last year. I went and I think I changed. Might have turned a few heads, but I don't know. But a lot of people I do know, and sometimes I get some WTF sometimes, but then I get the dumb questions. But I'm not gonna.
So we spoke earlier about the dumb questions, and we talked about etiquette. And so I just wanted to explain the proper etiquette for talking about whether or not to bring up post-op or pre-op.
That's one question we never ask. Okay, yeah. The one question we never ask to somebody is if you're post-op or you're pre-op, because it's just not right. Because we're not going to tell you. And people like to close that information is like hiding, saying your gender and your sexual orientation, who you are. And I'm not going to tell you because what you have in your brain and your heart is your own who you are. And be honest with you, and everybody can only hide. You can't hide who you are because society is fitting into society and understanding society. You have to be part of it. And when I look at society today, oh boy, it's pretty not what I call.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say messed up.
It is messed up so bad. I mean, we are part of society. People want to erase us out of it because they don't understand us.
Yeah.
And also the one thing which is the bite, which is a real biter here, is the healthcare issues.
What do you mean?
Proper healthcare especially when it comes to your healthcare.
Oh, so you're saying like there might be some doctors that are going to be like, not my thing.
Not my thing, exactly.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the healthcare is very touchy because they don't want to deal with it. And that's another issue is the healthcare. And that's one thing we do have to deal with because our bodies are not it's totally different because they still misgender you. When they misgender you, it's like you can go somewhere and it's like they call you dude or sir. It's like, excuse me, do I look like a sir? Do I look like a dude? No. And I sometimes you just want to shake your head. I mean, I wish I could, but you can't. You just kind of shake it off, but you can't. I wish I could shake off society, but society, we have to live in society. And the way I see things now, it's scary. Like I'm scared of a lot of things in society because of a lot what goes on. I'm all for all society, but we have our spot and everybody has a place, but it's kind of picking and choosing what to fight for and being ourselves. I enjoy this society, but there are some things I have to live with. And living amongst in the Durham region, but still within Durham region, I mean, we can access those ports, but it's trying to find yourself those people that you can find. You got to find those people. But other than that, it's been amazing. And holding up on the end of your life isn't life. Like I've learned a lot. Like life is so precious now. Like before, I couldn't hold on to life till life is so short. And I've got good friends, I've got good support, and I got a major community that's behind me. And especially my family. I mean, family is my biggest support right now. And I appreciate my family because my family is what kept me together. And also when it comes to spirituality, which I can throw, is this all right for spirituality?
Go ahead.
Well, in my spirituality, I believe I have on my wall at home, I keep footprints.
I know the poem.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I keep it on my wall. And it's something that kept me together. And it kind of brings everything together. I mean, once you think about it, because it's touching in a way that we all have to respect each other. And coming from religion, I come from the multi-faith background, and I look at this, and footprints to me is very proper, because it's always it says, I remember that I carried you. When you're walking on the beach and you see that second set of footprints, it's a peaceful feeling. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I love that poem. It's a really good poem.
It's an amazing poem. Like it helps me to
remember someone's with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, I can live up to my. I'm living up to my. I can't be judged, and like, don't judge somebody unless you've walked a mile in someone's shoes. But I would love to have seen. But it's an unknown author.
Yeah.
It's such a popular poem, but it's an unknown author.
Unknown author, and it's funny. Amazing. Like, I wish people could have that faith, but it's all about faith and how you hold yourself together. I wish everybody would have that faith too, but it's what you got to believe in yourself.
Definitely. Monica, my darling Monica, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, we always let our guests give a shout out to whoever they like. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Actually, I'd like to give a shout out to my mom, because my mom is the amazing person who's helped me through this. Mm-hmm. My mom has been amazing and if it wasn't for a few friends that are with me here today, and I want to give another shout out to Judy Hersey.
Grandma Judy's been sitting quietly in the corner, guys.
Yeah. And
Grandma Judy's been here the whole time.
Yeah, and people have supported me through this, and it's been amazing, because, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a lot of people. I'm still alive and kicking, but yeah.
Well, congratulations on everything. I hope you can continue to walk in your journey in light, love, and happiness, my
Thank
dear. If you guys have any questions for Monica, or you just want to say hi, or just whatever, you want to say hi to me or JR, please let them know how they could reach us.
Absolutely. Monica, you said LGBT Durham?
LGBT Durham active. It's Durham activist, and LGBT Durham, yeah. But I do have I have my own personal email I go on. And it's for I mostly work with the LGBTQ community in Greater Toronto, but I also have an admin that works with me too.
Okay.
And so I do screen people.
Okay, well, if you want to get in contact with Monica, you can email us at dysh@daintydish.com, and we will screen you and pass you along.
Absolutely.
But definitely. You can reach out to us at dysh@daintydish.com. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts,
give us a 5. You deserve a 5.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you, and we enjoy your feedback. If you're listening to us on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing and your posts. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud or any other platform, thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate it. That's it for me. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate all of you and everyone who is tuning in to the podcast. Thanks.
Well, that has been the dish of the day, and I hope y'all have yourselves a very, very, very happy hump day.